Hello everybody, my name is Michael, and in today's video what we're going to be doing is this right here. So if that looks exciting to you guys, please carry on and watch the video. Oh, and just one more thing before we go. Please consider like, commenting, and subscribing if you enjoyed the video. But now with all that out of the way, let's carry on with the video. Okay, so just before we get started painting here, I just want to say that I just added a little bit of stone texture to our Dragonborn base here, just before we get started painting. And then I'm going to start off, of course, with the mummy robes as you see here. And this, of course, is an off-white color that we want to be using for our Dragonborn female here. Now I'm going with it, as obvious as you can see here, a white Dragonborn female here, just coming at you with the dual axes. I thought it'd be pretty cool, so starting off with our mummy robes, giving a nice base color to all of the scales and skin that you can see on the miniature. Then once we have that base white down, what I'm going to be doing now is coming in with some Drakenof and nightshade. And of course this is a blue wash, and I'm going to be using this to emphasize all the details in the miniature itself, since there is a nice sculpted little bits of scales and texture all over her. So we want to be bringing those out, and the wash is going to help this out. But don't worry about it, we're not turning her into a blue Dragonborn. We're keeping her as white, but we need that as the underlining shadow color. Then once we have all that wash in there, giving off those blue shadow colors, we're coming in now with mummy robes. And this is a matter of coming in and picking out all those highest points and picking out some of those textured areas, all those little scales on there. It's going to be a little bit time consuming process, but it's just a matter of going around finding all those areas. And you can see while I'm getting in those nice high sharp points, I'm using the side of my brush rather than the tip of my brush to pick it out. And when it comes to the nice little details on the scales and stuff, I might dot in slightly to pick out those higher, those teeny weeny details with a nice fine tip brush. But for doing in the big strokes of the highlights, I'm more using the side of my brush to really catch those edges nice and easy. It's just a quick and easy tip for catching highlighted edges, especially when it's nicely sculpted into the miniature itself. Then once we've turned it back into a white Dragonborn, we're going to come in now with some squid pink, and this is of course going to be for the inside of her mouth. You could go with a red color in here. Yeah, there's all sorts of colors you could use. I thought squid pink and this nice bright vibrant pink would really help emphasize the color and really draw focus to the face of the miniature. So it's just a matter of being careful with our brush in here. Switch off a smaller detailed brush if you need to, and really get in there and make sure you get that mouth all covered. Then once we have the inside of the mouth picked out, we're going to come in now with some mahogany brown. And this is the base color we're going to be using for her weapons here. So just the handle of the weapons is what we're going to be picking out. Being careful not to get it anywhere we don't want it to, especially since we've gotten her scales and her skin all picked out the way we want. So it's just being a little bit of finer control in that area, since we've completed that right up against the touching areas where we don't want it to be necessarily. So being vigilant, switch to a smaller brush if you need to for this step. Then once we have those handles picked out, we're time to come in with some khaki, and this is going to be using for the belt around her waist that we've got here. So nice, I'm going with sort of neutral colors for the miniature. I'm not going to be putting her in an icy scene. I'm going to be keeping her sort of just naturally out in the wilderness, so I didn't want to go too heavy focus on the winter colors and so much white. I wanted to show variation. You know, a white Dragonborn can adventure everywhere. It doesn't have to be out in the snow. So that's why I'm going to go with more neutral tones and colors to really help emphasize the white appearance she has with her skin and her scales. Then once we've picked out that belt around her waist, time for the skirt around that, which is sort of like an armored skirt. And we're going to be coming in with cavalry brown to this, sort of like little leather squares all etched together. I can't remember exactly just offhand what it's called. But yeah, we were going with that here, and this nice reddy brown is going to help really give that pop of color that we want onto the miniature. And you can see just right now, it really attracts the eye there, especially since we've got that squid pink up in the mouth, and we've got this nice reddish brown here. It's really going to give us visual diversity over the whole piece and really make it so you want to look around the whole piece of the miniature. And it's just a matter, of course, coming in and being very careful, making sure you get a couple of layers of paint on here, because there is a lot of bumps and lumps onto this piece, so it's going to take a little while to get that fully covered. Then once we have that picked out, we're going to come in now with some dark pale blue, and I'll be using this for the under clothing that she's wearing, for underneath her armor here. So you can really see it here on the back of her boots, and We want to go up to the trousers, and she also has like a undershirt on as well underneath her armor, just in a couple of places. So I'm going to be doing that with the dark pale blue as well, and just being careful where we're going. And as you can see too, there's little belt straps that are going across, holding on those nice guards on for her legs. Don't worry about them at the moment. We're going to be coming in and painting those in later. That's why I'm just giving a full paint job over top of them and really getting that blue in there, because I want that undercoat color to be fully covered before we come in with the details of those straps. Then once we have that picked out, we're going to come in now with some burnt umber. And for our burnt umber, what we're going to be doing here is we're just going to be using it to paint in those straps that I was talking about before, because it's going to be a lot easier doing it this way than the other way around, trying to get in there with the blue, especially for the base coating. So just a matter of coming in, switch to a finer tip brush if you need to. I have here, switch to one that has a bit of a finer tip so I can really get the full stroke all the way across and really pick out those little belts. Then once we've picked out those little belts, what we're going to do is come in with some gunmetal now. And then, of course, what we're going to do in this is she's wearing nice armor and her axes, so we're going to be giving a good overall coat. Also, too, I don't know if I mentioned this in the little belt step when doing those ones on her boots. She also has a lot of belts all along her as well, holding up her armor pieces. So I've done all the belts in the burnt umber as well. And just keep that in mind, too, when you're painting it up. But as like I said before, we're coming in with our gunmetal here, nice dark metallic color, and really giving a good overall coat. Now you can see it's a little bit streaky, and that's because my paint is thinned down a lot, so I'm definitely going to need to come on at least 2 layers to really get a nice smoother color with our piece. So don't be afraid if you see it a little bit streaky here. Then now we have all those metallics picked out, we're going to come in now with some agrax earthshade, and we'll be giving this wash to the majority of our miniature, except for, of course, we don't want it over any of our Dragonborn herself with her white, because we've really finished that skin area off, so we want to avoid that, or scale area as well. And also any of the metallics, we're not going to be doing any brown wash over the metallics as well, so keeping careful to avoid those places, and especially since we've got those belts and stuff on there, it can pull up very easily, so keep an eye on as your the wash is drying to really avoid any of pooling in the situation, especially on her skirt here too. There's a lot of bumps and lumps, so be very careful that it doesn't all pull downwards and leave a big splodge at the bottom. Then once that wash is completely dry, what we're doing now is come in with some nuln oil, and this of course is going to be the wash we're going to be using for our metallics here, and giving a nice overall coat, being careful that it doesn't run down into anywhere we don't want it to be, especially that skin. I can't hesitate that enough every time we've been using a different wash to watch out for that skin and scales of her base coat. Since we're using white, it's going to be very difficult to come back in and fix that up, so you want to be really careful and watch it when it dries. So just a handy tip there, because you don't want any brown or black splotches over her nice white skin. So, and of course, it's just a matter of going around, really picking out all those sort of detailed areas and giving a nice overall coating as well to really darken that metal down. Then once all that's completely dry, we're going to come in now with some shining silver, which is a super bright metallic color, and we're going to be using this for the highlights. So for the highlights here, I'm going to be doing all the edges of the armor, really like edge highlighting all of these armor pieces. I want them to really stick out and show off her nice triumphant, her coming into battle like blazing glory, because it looks pretty. I really do like the pose, and as you can see, I'm putting it way into the corner and out of focus, so you really can't see what I'm doing here, because it's such a secret technique that, and most people don't know about it, that I've got to really make sure that it's out of focus. But anyway, it's just a matter of going around, really picking out these edges and giving it the nice shining light glory of her coming into battle. Okay, so once we have those metallic highlights all completed, we're going to come back in with our pale blue again, and this is just a matter of coming into the areas that would naturally be hitting the light, and as you can see, there's a couple of folds here, so we want to hit those nice high points and really get that going in with the light shining in, because of course we've already done that with the nice metallics. We've got to come around and do it to the other pieces of the miniature to make it look nice and cohesive. And then once we've done her blue underclothes here, we're going to come in with some black grey now, and this is to just pick out her claws and her talons that she has on her. I didn't want to go with a full-on black. I didn't want it to be sort of that deep and dark, and so that's why I've come in with the black grey here, just a slightly up-coloured black or a really dark grey, depending on which way you want to look at it. And it's just a matter of coming in, picking out all those little claws and nails there. Being very, very careful that we're not getting it anywhere we don't want to. So switch to a tiny and smaller head brush if you need to get those claws picked out. And then once we've done that, it's just a matter of coming in with our cavalry brown once again and picking out all that little quilting detail that is on her skirt here. Now there's lots of bumps and lumps here, so it can take a little while. I'm not going to pick out every single one, but I want to pick out a lot of the ones that are right in your face and well sculpted into the light areas, as well as that catching a little bit of the edge of the folds. Stuff like that to really make it pop out on the piece. It's going to be tedious, I know, but once it's at the end, it's going to really look like a nice detailed piece and really help catch the eye just that little bit more. And then once you've done that, it's just a matter of painting up your base how you'd like to match the scene you're trying to go for. And with all that complete, we have finally finished painting up our female Dragonborn fighter from the Dungeons & Dragons range by Wizkids. So I hope this video has been helpful for you guys, whether you want to follow along or you just want to use this video for some inspiration in painting up your own miniatures. And with all that said guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.